Sarah.
I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mr. Patient.
And come visit our friend's farm, so come on along.
Right. So this is where we our brooder is. We keep our newest turkey poults in there. They're 1 week old right now.
Why does he have a dot right there?
So you'll be able to see on our full-grown ones that that'll get big eventually and kind of come down over his beak. We've got blue slate turkeys, which that's a heritage breed. So basically, it's just an old-school breed back before like a big-time industrialization of agriculture. So yeah, so this is my grandparents' farm. It was originally purchased into my family by, I believe, my great-great-grandfather back in 1912.
Wow. You can see just how big their wings have gotten since they were so little. So this is just 4 weeks along from what you were just holding.
When you hold him upside down, he stops chirping.
Yes, so when you hold, I guess, turkeys and chickens upside down, it kind of calms them down. So the house we're sitting in right now is Kevin's great-grandmother's house. Her name was Nola Benderman. She actually passed away last spring. She died at the age of 96, I believe. Not exactly sure, but she was in her mid to late 90s. We moved into this house about a year and a half ago. And
he said, I'm not sure, it'll probably fall in on you. We came in here and we started tearing flooring up and painting walls and doing all kinds of things, and it hadn't fell in yet. So.
Right. Alright, come on around.
Call them or lead buddy who takes the lead.
So these are our Katahdin sheep. They are hair sheep, pretty much meaning that they're not wool sheep. So we won't shear them. See behind us that some of them are still shedding their winter coats from this past year. So this little guy was born about a week or two ago. He's a ram. Cutie. We picked Katahdin sheep because it's a specific breed, a stronger bloodline than just a general hair sheep. They are more hardy. They are considered meat sheep.
Alright, this is my Paul, Larry Benderman, who we were talking about earlier. He's the one who owns the farm.
Back in 1911, my grandparents bought this farm. I think it was 47 plus acres for $3,000 cash. And I have lived here all my life. And while my mother was living in the house that Kevin Jr. and Sarah are now living in, she became ill, had dementia, and I had determined to tear the house down after she passed away. But this young man right here had a better idea. He came to me and said, hey, can me and my bride live in that house if we fix it up? And I said, sure. So the house was not torn down, but it has been restored. And
now these are 7 weeks old.
So most of the birds we have, most of the chickens we have here are a mix between lavender Orpingtons and Easter eggers. Basically, with the Orpington, you get a heavier bird and a bigger egg, whereas with the Easter eggers, you get, you know, the pretty blue and green eggs along with I don't know, a little bit more wild of a bird.
Yes, yes. So in the future, we'll probably get more of the lavender Orpingtons. There's really a market for them right now. They're beautiful. They're popular.
They're good. They're a good kind of what's it called? Dual purpose. They're a good dual purpose breed. They lay very large brown eggs. They also dress out very well compared to like a smaller Easter egger, Americana egg layer type thing. We have Peking ducks. They lay a good size egg, and they're large.
So for our blue slate hens, we're planning on harvesting them for Thanksgiving and Christmas this year. we'll probably keep a few of our hens so we can have a good amount of eggs next year, and then we might go to selling the chicks and so on. But just the first year starting out, we're kind of just breaking the seal, kind of seeing what we want to do, what works for us.
Yeah, it's just a whole big experimentation phase right now.
Yes.
Pictures. I had a monkey once upon a time, and a lady was given this monkey, and she was not married, but her boyfriend gave her a monkey, and she got tired of the monkey, and she gave it to me, and I didn't get tired of the monkey. I liked my monkey, but my mother made me keep it in the cellar that you may have seen on some of the other shots, and it got pneumonia that winter, and it died. And I had a big funeral for the monkey, just me, and I put it in a box and buried it under an oak tree in the yard, which Junior and Sarah now live in. We don't have a tombstone up yet, but maybe this fall we'll put a tombstone up for the monkey.
How old were you?
I believe I must have been about 9, 10, or 12, somewhere along in there.
So where are we now?
So we're actually underground right now, right outside our house. This is a root cellar, and so you can hold your root vegetables like potatoes and carrots and onions in here, or canned items. I know you've done a lot of canning, so.
Do y'all know how this was built?
We don't know exactly when it was built. It does look like it was built in stages, like this rock was probably put down first, and then they came back and did some reconstruction with this concrete. It was originally used as a cistern.
Why did you close up the root cellar, the storm cellar, in the 50s?
Because I was afraid to go in there. One day, my dad went down in there, and he came out in a hurry, and he got a pitchfork. I knew something was up. And he comes out with all of these snakes. There must have, it looked like 10 or 12 snakes, but probably wasn't over 2 or 3. But he had stabbed those snakes, and he came out with them, and they were just going every which direction. They were chicken snakes. And he goes out, and he throws them out into the highway, which is right there in front of the house. And this was before I-65. Main highway was 31 here. And so several trucks came by and ran over them. One truck ran over them, stopped, and the guy got out and came back to look at all the snakes. And as far as I know, I have never been in that cellar again. And when they moved in and took over the operation of the farm, so to speak, and went down into the cellar, they found all of these jars that had been down in there, had been left there the last time my mother and daddy did any canning. Even though the monkey was put in the cellar, it was right there at the very top of the cellar door. I never did go down in that cellar again after the snakes.
I love it.
Did you now?
No.
No, he doesn't go now.
I'm never going in there.
Here they go.
Aren't they all supposed to be pink?
Well, there are certain breeds of pigs that are pink, but they aren't all have to be pink, I guess.
These pigs got hair.
Yeah.
The pigs that you're used to seeing pink don't have as much hair.
These are American guinea hogs. They are a heritage breed hog. So similarly to the turkeys, they were their bloodline existed before the industrialization of agriculture.
So basically, this would have been the type of pig that our ancestors would have had when they were settling this area. That's when these pigs came to be. Is they're a mix between between European breeds, between wild hog a little bit, and they're just really well suited for this environment and this use, I guess.
Now,
how big will they get?
That boar over there, he's probably about as big as he'll get. So
Yes.
2, maybe 300 pounds.
and that is a good bit lighter than the average hog, like your Yorkshire, or like your Wilburs and Babes.
Yeah.
So we have them in this area right now to start getting this area to hold water again. And that's why we fed them down in kind of the mush pit, so they'll root around, stamp it down with their feet, just to create a solid bottom.
Yeah. Last year, this area looked the same as that area or anywhere else.
Oh, wow.
The pigs have done all this.
That's great. They work for you.
There was a pond here at some point in the past that one of my great-grandparents dug, but at some point the pond quit holding water. But the pigs are supposed to, I guess, muddy up the land and make it where it'll hold again.
So I guess by
We'll see.
Yes, so by mushing down the mud and trampling on it, they leave behind almost like a film of algae, and that becomes the water seal. And that's when the water will start holding after that seal has been made. That's one thing we're all about here, is using the animals themselves to rehabilitate the land and make it better.
That saves money too. You're not getting any equipment.
You have to rent a dump truck or
Yeah.
backhoe or...
Yeah.
And I actually had a few of these hogs till up my garden bed. We set up the cattle panels in the yard and put a few hogs in there. A few weeks later, grass was completely gone.
So Little Music Man thought hogs were supposed to be stinky.
Well, that's actually a common misconception. Hogs are actually a lot cleaner than a lot of animals. They keep their houses in very clean condition. They don't poop in them like goats or sheep would, and so there's a lot less cleaning there. They actually designated one section of this area to do their business in, and besides just wallowing in the mud, they really don't get that dirty. You know, like we said before, they're wallowing for a purpose. So, I am 22 and Kevin is 27 years old. We got engaged. We were really having trouble finding a place to live. You know, with housing expenses just going up and up.
We said, well, there's an empty house right here. Like, I wonder what kind of shape it's in, because I hadn't been in here since ever we moved Mama into the nursing home. We went up and asked Paul for a key and came back down here and walked around, and it was, and you know, as the condition you would expect it to be in, kind of rough, but I mean, it's got a good roof, so there's no leaks or anything. So we just started working pretty much that week. We had, I think, 3 months?
We had 3 months before our wedding. 3 months before our wedding date.
To turn a completely been vacant for 10 years farmhouse into, you know, something that we could live in and be comfortable.
Once we kind of started that process, that's when the heritage of the house really started coming to light. At least for me, being in the same place that Mama was, cooking in the kitchen and gathering pecans from the yard. It's here. It's what Kevin's family has done for the past century now, and it just feels right to continue that
Legacy.
Yes, to continue the legacy. We like sheep better than we like goats because they're just more hardy of an animal. The goats' lives are just a little bit more fragile. They're a little bit more susceptible to just things happening. I'm sure some of you've heard that goats are escape artists. And so just sheep are just a lot more of a docile animal, and that's why we like them. Docile and hardy. So this is our milk goat, Apple. She is a La Mancha. These are popular for their earlessness, actually. But they also have nice size bags. She is, I guess her kid was born about 2.5 months ago, so she's kind of getting to the end of her freshening cycle here. It's about time to rebreed her, so we can milk her a little bit later on. So let's get started.
She needs really milking. How many times do you milk her?
I milk her about once a day now. At some point we were milking her twice a day, but she's just producing less.
Do you leave a little bit of milk for her baby?
Her baby is completely weaned now. So he was weaned about a month ago. Earlier we were talking about our future hopes and goals of the farm, and we've decided that purchasing steers after they've been weaned from their mothers and growing them out and selling them within the next year will be our plan of action.
Rotational grazing, using electric fencing to give the cows a fresh patch of land every day. That way their grazing is more concentrated, and that way they eat more of the grass and the vegetation in each area, whereas where now we have them kind of free ranging and they just eat what they want and leave the rest. Well, that's fine for them, I suppose, but it'd be more efficient, more productive if we were controlling where they're grazing, and that way we know that also that they're not standing in their own excrement and that kind of thing. It makes it more a cleaner environment, and that way we can follow them in with our laying hens, with the broilers, keep the flies down.
Several months ago, Junior and Sarah came to us and said, "Hey, how about us applying for this farm to be a century farm?" And I thought, well, that's a pretty good idea. So we put a few things together. We sent it off to the state. We haven't received word yet as to whether or not it has become a century farm, but I've got a spot picked up right down there in front of this house where I want to put a sign. Not a big sign, not a billboard, but a little sign that will designate this as a century farm. Very few farms in this community can brag and say that we have been here over 100 years.
This is what we want to do one day. We want to both be living here, self-employed on the farm.
And I know that my grandparents and my mom and dad would be very proud that we have preserved the farm, and they would be very happy that Junior and Sarah have really made it a show place.
Thank you for watching this heritage story of home and hope today. And before we complete the story with our behind the scenes and final thoughts, we certainly want to thank our patrons, our Heritage Ways patrons, who are financially supporting the making of this video and others. Their support allows us to produce videos for you. Equipment is expensive and time is very valuable, and we thank these supporters and encouragers and patrons of ours. If you're interested in joining our family of patrons and receiving bonus content and gifts, just check out the website you see below, patreon.com/heritageways. And now for the rest of our heritage story.
So,
Ready?
yes, I am ready. So here we have our calves. We have a Jersey calf that we are planning on breeding to milk next year. We have a Jersey Angus cross heifer that we're planning on breeding next year and milking as well. And then we have one Jersey Angus cross steer, which is
Eating him.
yeah, we plan on eating him. A steer is a cut male cow. So he was banded this spring. You don't need to know all this. I chose a Jersey calf because I chose a Jersey calf because I'm so excited about the cream line I'm gonna get after milking. I'm planning on making tons of butter and all that good stuff, so I'm very excited about that.
The question was, why are we doing this? We're 20 years old. What are we doing here?
What are we doing here? Well, I don't really know what I'm doing here. I don't know how I got here. I don't know when this happened,
Okay.
but it's happening now.
So basically, it's not the
It's all your fault.
It isn't. But I didn't know that I was
Basically,
gonna...
Sarah wanted to do this, and now I'm just drugging along. No.
But the real reason is because it was just a part of his family's history, you know? This land has been farmed for over 100 years now, and it would just be a shame to see it stop just at his grandpa's generation.
Yeah, I've been doing this kind of thing, working between on this farm and on my dad's farms my whole life. And when I went to the Marines, I was doing hands-on type work there. And then after 3 or 4 years in college studying accounting, I kind of got the idea that I might not enjoy an office job as much as I enjoy this type of work. And since this opportunity has presented itself to us, I don't see any reason why we shouldn't at least try.
It's very gratifying work, and I think that's something hard to find. I wouldn't find sitting behind a desk all day very gratifying. Just satisfying what I feel like my soul needs. Each step that we've taken towards this direction has just felt more and more right. It's a very peaceful life. It's a very, I don't know.
Yeah, I think that it's helped my mental state. I don't have PTSD or anything, but I do have certain thoughts and memories and that kind of thing. And just being out in the nature, in the early morning when the sun comes up, and in the late evening you see the sun go down. It's clean air. Not as easy to make a profit doing this kind of thing, maybe, as if you were working for somebody. Anytime you're working for yourself, it's harder to maybe maintain that. But as long as you live below your means, and you scrimp and you save and you use scraps, things other people throw away, it's not that hard to come out on top.
Got a natural sheep wrangler right here.